Welcome to our annual Labor Day weekend retreat. We have a very nice topic this time. I hope everyone will enjoy it, the divine personality of Sri Ramakrishna. And we have a lot of guest speakers visiting Swamis and Paratikas, so we're very, very happy. The main speaker will be Swami Atmajnananda, not to be confused with Atmajnananda. We have had years of of confusion between us. Yeah, and actually I know the Swami for a number of years, and so he's recently, now over a year, posted to Rio de Janeiro, which was formerly a sub-center of Sao Paulo in Brazil, and now it's an independent center, and he's in charge of that center. So we're very happy that Swamiji agreed to come. And we have Swami Nirakaranandaji, he's been here a few times. Some of you know him, but he's at the Vedanta Society of St. Louis, and both of them are very good singers. So when we have our singing session, it'll be very nice that we'll invite others to sing also, but they'll also be featured singers for that. And then we have our Pravrajika Purabhuta Pranaji, who has been for many years at the headquarters of Belur Math at Dakshineshwar. She'll also be participating. And Dr. Jeffrey Long, who will be coming a little later this morning. He couldn't get away first thing in the morning. We know him also. He's been here so many times, professor of South Asian Studies, I think, or something like that, in Elizabethtown, Pennsylvania. So we have all of the visiting Swamis, and then you'll get the two of us a little bit. Yeah, we're also guests here. This is true. Good point. Yeah. So I'll just go through the schedule a little bit. Four of us will come and we'll do some Vedic chanting, Shanti mantras to begin, and then Swami Atmajnananda will lead a guided meditation. Then we start the first session. How do we understand Sri Ramakrishna? So this will take us to lunchtime. He'll decide if he wants questions. But the other sessions, you'll see that we have two baskets on either side with pens and paper. So especially for the panel sessions, we'll expect there to be question and answer. So that will be the morning. Then in 1 o'clock, so lunch is 12 to 1. 1 to 2 is devotional songs. And we'll have the Swamis who will sing, and then we'll also have devotees who will sing for that. And then Swami Nirakaranandaji will speak on Sri Ramakrishna's Mahavakyas. We'll have a little break. And then again, Swami Atmajnanandaji will speak Sri Ramakrishna through the eyes of the direct disciples. Then we'll have a panel discussion. The three of us will be there. At that time, we'll speak for about 15 minutes each, something like that, and then there'll be time for questions, and we can all answer questions jointly that way. And anyhow, this will go on, Arati and meditation. Then tonight, we have a very special classical Indian music concert with two excellent musicians. Partha Bose on the sitar, he's been here several times. This is the third time for both of them, and Indranil Malik on tabla. And then we'll have dinner. So this is the program for this morning. We'll start now. I'll invite my brother monks to come up. We'll do the Shanti mantras, and then I will request Swami Atmajnananda to lead us in guided meditation. Oh, and before he speaks, there'll be one song from the choir. Yes.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shanno Mitra Sham Varunah Shanno Bhavatvaryama Shanna Indro Brahaspatihi Shanno Vishnurukramah Namo Brahmane Namaste Vayo Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahmasi Tvameva Pratyaksham Brahma Vadishyami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavatu Tadvaktaramavatu Avadumam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatrah Sthirairange Stushtvagam Sastanubhihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarsho Arishtanemihi Swasti no Brahaspatir Dadhatu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Yeah, that's fine. The harmonium also.
Let them do the singing first, no? They sing first.
They'll sing after, before you talk.
Okay.
So we will just have guided meditation now.
Okay.
We just have to set up the microphone. Yeah, I'll tell them.
This is guided meditation session. Those of you who can manage to sit below, it would be preferable to sit below. If possible, otherwise there's no problem. You can sit in the chairs. Just try to keep yourself comfortable. Sit comfortably, give some space. Please close your eyes and keep your back erect. Your head and the spine must be in a straight line. This is to facilitate clear breathing. Breathe slowly, take in breath slowly and exhale slowly. Be conscious of your breathing. Fill your lungs with the pure air of the ashram. As you breathe in, take all positive vibrations from this place, holy place. Breathe in love, harmony, understanding, unselfishness, all those qualities which will enrich your individual life and personality. All those qualities that you want to have in your life to make it more happier and peaceful. As you breathe out, give out all those negative emotions and feelings that have been disturbing you. Anger, jealousy, selfishness, hatred, whatever you don't want in your personality. Do this as a conscious process, minutes. Now, feeling the good entering into you and all the bad given out, you have a body and a mind which is purer, which is more conducive to spiritual life, a more peaceful mindset. Now, tell your mind, I am seated in the temple of Sri Ramakrishna, in his presence, in the presence of Sri Sharada Devi, the Holy Mother, Swami Vivekananda, and all the other direct disciples. I am seated in a pure and holy atmosphere. I want to be here. Please keep my thoughts in this place. Tilt your mind as you would to a friend, a close friend. Tell it not to disturb you with other thoughts. You can close the doors of your mind and put a board outside, no entry. I want to be with myself, alone, fearless. I want to meditate. I want to withdraw my senses, my mind into myself. I want to look within my own mind, my thoughts, and go deep within. Tell yourself, I am not just the body. I have a deeper personality. The problems of my body do not affect me. I can rise beyond these problems of the body. I am not the mind and the thoughts. They keep changing. I am behind the thoughts. I am the observer. I am the I principle, the conscious principle behind the body, mind, intellect, and the ego. I am eternally pure, eternally blissful. I am fulfilled. Potentially perfect. I possess this body, the mind, my intellect, and ego to make myself happier, more peaceful, and to give happiness and peace to others. Imagine, look upon yourself as a pure, soft, and bright flame of light in the depths of your heart, a flame that is burning constantly, that is removing all darkness from your mind, from your thoughts, which is removing all ignorance and permeating your whole body and mind with its pure light. The light within the core of your heart is expanding, covering your whole body. Allow it to expand beyond your body to your surroundings. Feel one with the whole of creation, with all those who are sitting in this holy atmosphere. You can look upon yourself as a bird flying in the open sky, free, liberated, soaring higher and higher. You can look upon yourself as a beam of light from the infinite and powerful Sun, the Supreme Power. Just as the others are manifestations of the same Supreme, so am I, infinite consciousness. I am one with the whole of creation. You can look upon yourself as a bubble or wave in the infinite ocean of Satchidananda, floating in bliss, in joy. Those of you who want to meditate on the formless, you can hold your hand, both your palms, in this Jnana Mudra on your lap, and try to feel yourself as consciousness, infinite and pure. Those of you who want to meditate on God with form through devotion can meditate on your chosen deity, whomever you love, in the core of your heart. The light that you imagined in your heart is now taking the shape of your chosen deity, Ishta. He is seated. He or she is seated in the core of your heart, alive, smiling, full of grace. You are seated in the presence of your Ishta. You can imagine yourself as seated in front of your Ishta, looking at your Ishta with love, devotion. Offer yourself at the feet of your Ishta. Open your mind to your Ishta. Tell your Ishta to help you in your spiritual life, to make you a better individual, now feel that your Ishta, with infinite grace and love, has absorbed you into his or her own personality. You merge yourself in your Ishta. You no longer exist. Only the Ishta remains. Your Ishta is directing you. Your Ishta is using you as an instrument. The pure knowledge of your Ishta is illumining your mind, giving you joy and happiness. You can repeat the mantra of your chosen deity for a few minutes. or the Gayatri Mantra. Salute your Ishta once again by bowing down and touching the feet of your Ishta. Pray to your Ishta to remain in your heart, to guide you through all your actions, thoughts, and to help you in being a better individual. Pray for your parents, for your brothers, sisters, relatives, friends, all those people who have helped you in your life. Pray for the whole of humanity. The unknown farmer who produces food for you, the animals that provide you food, nature that has been providing you air, water, and nourishment. May there be peace everywhere. Pray for all those people who have disturbed you or harmed you positively. May they be peaceful. May they have understanding and love for you. Forgive them from the depth of your heart. Pray for their welfare. Try to rise beyond hatred and anger. Now, try to concentrate your mind again in the core of your heart, and take leave of your Ishtadevata. You can tell your Ishta that you are participating in a spiritual retreat. That you would like to learn as much as possible and go home with more peace, more joy, more understanding, a better individual than now. You can open your eyes. We will chant Om for a few minutes. Take in deep breaths and chant Om. Meditation is an art, a technique which you have to learn by regular practice. You cannot concentrate your mind by one sitting. You need to have regular practice so that your mind becomes meditative, your life pattern becomes meditative, and you are able to have a control over your thoughts. A few minutes in the morning and evening, if you can spend time in meditating on any lofty thought or idea that can inspire you. Read some anecdote from the life of Sri Ramakrishna or Sharda Devi or the direct disciples. or the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, or the Bhagavad Gita, anything that inspires you, and meditate for a few minutes. Try to imbibe the idea. Try to see how you can practicalize it in your life. If you can learn to meditate, you will find there is so much joy in your life. Everything that you do, your day-to-day routine work will be more joyful, less strenuous. You will not find it hard to work in your office or in your home. You will find joy in meeting people, in helping them. Your life becomes more meaningful. Without meditation, the practice of meditation or the habit of meditation, your life is full of tension and strain. You can meditate when you walk, when you clean your house, when you cook, when you are in the office, wherever you are. If you learn the technique of meditating, withdrawing yourself, going within, just turning yourself into yourself. Sri Ramakrishna used to advise the devotees that often you must try to look within your own mind by going to a solitary place and observing your thoughts, trying to see how your mind is attached to objects, places, people, and situations. Trying to make yourself independent from all attachments to situations, trying to free your mind. Sri Ramakrishna used to advise this. He used to say, once a week, if not once in a month. And he says, if even this is not possible, to go to a faraway place, lonely place, a natural place, to see a vast expanse, a mountain or an ocean or open sky. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, this will give you Brahmakara vritti, a feeling of the infinite, expansive, to liberate your mind. He would say, if this is not possible, at least sit in your own room, in a peaceful place, and try to focus within. Swami Vivekananda used to say, looking upon others as reflections of yourself, as yourself, is the highest way of approaching truth. So try to remove all differences from your mind, differences of race, color, creed, religion. Try to rise beyond all differences and try to always feel one with humanity. See the play of God everywhere. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, try to feel that you are a child of the divine, blissful in the lap of the divine mother, without any worries. These are all ideas to use during meditation. You will find many, many such ideas in the Gospel, in the Upanishads. Use them. Take up one idea and make it your meditation. Let us close the meditation session with Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
We can all take a minute just to get up and stretch. If anybody has to make a quick trip to the restroom, you can do it now, but we'll start the next Maharaj's first session in a couple of minutes.
Break, I know, but I'm fixing that. It's making this noise, Maharaj. I don't know why. Can Page number.
Page 22.
Yeah, yes. She's not here. No, চলে গেছে তো।
Jaya Sharanam
संस्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Revered Swami Atmajnananda Ji Maharaj, Swami Bhasvatananda Ji Maharaj, my dear brother Nirakananda Ji Maharaj, dear devotees, it's a pleasure to be here with you all during this spiritual retreat and think and meditate on the life of Sri Ramakrishna. I chose this topic of trying to understand Sri Ramakrishna intentionally. You are all devotees who have been coming here, who have been listening about Sri Ramakrishna, about Sharada Devi, about spiritual life. I'm aware that you know most of the incidents that I would be referring to. You read the literature that's been published by the Ramakrishna Vivekananda movement, but still, it's always a joy to remember and to connect to those incidents which bring more light, more understanding into our lives. Revered Swami Bhuteshananda Ji Maharaj used to frequently quote a beautiful verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. He used to say, meditating or taking the name of God is something that has a threefold action on the individual. The verse in Bhagavata says, if you're hungry and if you have food, it has a threefold effect. The first thing, the most obvious, is that it appeases your hunger. Your hunger is satisfied. The second effect that it has on you, it gives you nourishment, strength. You feel strong again. The third effect that it has on you, it gives you a sense of fulfillment, a sense of satisfaction. You feel happy within. Your hunger is satisfied, you are nourished, and there is a deep sense of well-being, a sense of happiness from within. So Sri Revered Bhuteshananda Maharaj used to say, the verse in the Bhagavata says, meditating on the Lord, taking the name of the Lord has a similar effect. It fulfills you from within. You feel happy within, and it enriches your spiritual life. So meditating on Sri Ramakrishna, thinking about Sri Ramakrishna gives joy. He used to also refer to another incident. Of course, Sri Ramakrishna also tells about this illustration. He says, if you eat a sugar candy, whichever way you taste it, you can munch on it, you can keep it in your mouth for a long time. It's sweet all around, isn't it? It's always a sweet experience. So like that, you can think about Sri Ramakrishna in whichever way you want, and it gives you happiness. Sri Ramakrishna is difficult to understand. Not so easy to understand the depth of his personality. He would himself say many times that only a few people can understand the implications or the importance of an avatar or an incarnation of God. People look at him or her as a human being, as a normal person, having the same type of life that we are used to. We try to look upon others as we understand ourselves. This is a psychological factor. Unless you are able to raise yourself, unless your mind is elevated, you cannot grasp the elevated state of mind of others. Sri Ramakrishna used to give a beautiful example. There was a piece of tree, a tree stump by the side of the road. And one day, when it was dark, a person was going down the road. He was a drunkard, inebriated, completely drunk. He saw this tree stump by the side of the road and thought that it must be a drunkard who had taken more drinks and had fallen, not being able to control his mind, walk properly. And after some time, a thief was going down the same road. He looked at this same stump and thought that it was another thief hiding from the police. And after some time, a yogi was passing down the same road, saw the same stump, and thought it was another yogi who had fallen down in samadhi. You see, it is the outlook of the person. The tree stump is the same. But the difference in perception is because of their mindset, how they see things, how they perceive things. This is a well-known fact today, that all our perceptions are colored by our mind. The observed is colored by the thoughts of the observer. So whatever you observe, whatever you look at, it is according to what you want to see. We don't perceive the object per se. You're always trying to color it as we want it. We are always trying to look at things as we want it to be. So, our relationships, our judgment of people is also colored by our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, how we want. So that is why we try to control others and tell them to do as we want them to be. I will love you only when you can be like this. I will agree to you only when you can agree to me. This is how all our relationships, all our understanding is colored. So, Sri Ramakrishna was looked upon by various people in different ways. Somebody called him a madman, absolutely mad. Somebody thought he is crazy, he does not want money, does not keep money, does not have a relation with his wife, does not have children. Thought he was an incarnation. Some people thought he was an incarnation. Some people thought he was a pure soul, a saint. Some people thought he was mad for God. Some people thought that he was crying for his mother, his own mother. They didn't understand that he was crying for the Divine Mother. All of them looked upon Sri Ramakrishna in different ways. But Sri Ramakrishna was never bothered by all this. He never worried about this, how people looked upon him. Somebody called him an avatar, somebody adored him, he would be least perturbed. If you read the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, you will find, he says in one place, a doctor, referring to Ramchandra Datta, and a person of the theatre, Girish Chandra Ghosh. He says a doctor and a theatre man, they claim that I am an avatar. How much do they understand about an avatar? That they claim that I am an avatar. Ramchandra Datta was interested in telling people, bringing people to Sri Ramakrishna. He had a firm faith that if they saw Sri Ramakrishna even once, if they took the name of Ramakrishna even once, they would be liberated, they would be blessed. So he was trying to bring more and more people to Sri Ramakrishna. So you have various types of people coming to Sri Ramakrishna and judging Sri Ramakrishna, understanding Sri Ramakrishna in different ways. It's a very interesting study to see how people tried to understand Sri Ramakrishna, tried to judge Sri Ramakrishna, tried to measure Sri Ramakrishna. And in the process, try to understand how much we are able to understand the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna or the personality of Sri Ramakrishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna tells in the 9th chapter about the incarnation. He says, foolish people, people of ignorance, people who don't have understanding, they consider me to be an ordinary human being. Avajananti mam mudha manushim tanumashritam. They think I have taken a human body, I am just like them, going through the daily life. They don't understand the ultimate aspect of my personality, the higher aspect of my personality. They have no conception about the superior aspect of my personality. They look upon me as just an individual, as a human being. There is an interesting incident in the life of Swami Kailashanandaji, who was a vice president and the head of Chennai Math. one day, a classmate of his, in his college days or something, came to see him after many, many years. Okay, after decades probably. Kailashanji received him with love and affection. And then this friend, who was already established in his life, asked Kailashanji, I would like to see your room, how you live, what facilities you have. Oh, Kailashanji was such a wonderful sadhu. He said, oh, yes, please come. There's nothing to hide. And the room was always open. He just allowed him to look into the room. So this friend saw a cot with a mattress, a table, a chair, some books, the minimum comforts that a person needs. He said, oh, you also have a cot. Oh, you also sleep on a bed. Oh, then what's the difference between me and you? That was his next question. Oh, you're also used to all these comforts, the minimum comforts. Kailashanji said, yes, there's a little difference. Tomorrow, if I get a letter, a postcard, in those days, long back, a simple postcard which was just hardly 15 paise in those days. If I just get a postcard from Belur Math asking me to go to another place, I walk with a small bag. Can you do that? I am not attached to the place or the things here. I know I am here as per the rules or the order of Belur Math. He said, no, I can't do this. I have a family. I have an employment. I have my children. I have this. I have that. So this is what makes the difference. In the life of Sri Ramakrishna, also you will see, Sri Ramakrishna stayed in that small room in Dakshineshwar for so many years, absolutely without anything practically. There was a small bed and a small couch on which he used to sit and talk to people. No other furniture in that room. He had practically nothing to call his own. No property, no things, hardly 2 or 3 sets of clothes. In fact, Swami Vivekananda, Narendra, as he was then called, when he came to Sri Ramakrishna, he used to make fun of Sri Ramakrishna. He was so rational in his approach, and he was daring. He did not have any fear of Sri Ramakrishna. There was such intense understanding and love between them. So he used to make fun of Sri Ramakrishna. And one day he made fun of Sri Ramakrishna and said, oh, you also have a cot and a mattress, and you use slippers, and you have a coat, and all this. Narendra made fun of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna laughed and said, yes, a time will come when you will be sleeping on a mattress which is 6 feet high. When he became popular after his Chicago addresses and all that, when people started adoring him and all that, he was given a bed which was full of discomfort. And as soon as Swami Vivekananda saw this, he remembered these words of his master and started shedding tears. You see, my master had told me this. So, Krishna says, Param bhava majananto, not knowing my supreme nature, my divine nature, people consider that I am an ordinary human being. They look upon me as a human being given to frailties and all that. Sri Ramakrishna, one day, when he was in his room in Dakshineshwar, the manager of the Dakshineshwar temple complex sent word that he has to leave the temple, that he can no longer stay there. And Sri Ramakrishna simply walked out of the room with a small towel that he used to use. He had a small towel on his shoulder, and without caring to take anything else from the room, just with the clothes that he was wearing and a small towel which was there on his shoulder, he walked out of the room, going towards the gate leading to outside. He did not even turn back to look if he has left something behind in the room. The manager saw Sri Ramakrishna walking out of the room from his office and then came running. Said, "Sorry, there has been a mistake. I did not ask you to leave. It was Hriday, his nephew, who had made a mistake. Please do not go away from here. Please come back. I made a mistake." The message was a wrong communication. And Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, it was a mistake, is it?" So he simply walked back without any hesitation, no anger, no reaction. He simply came back to his room and, as if nothing has happened, went back to his room. What a state of mind. Can you imagine? Arjuna asks Sri Krishna in the second chapter, a very famous part of the second chapter, the end part, Sthita Prajna Lakshana. He asks a question to Krishna. After Krishna explains to him about the Atman, about the truth, Arjuna has a question. He says, "Oh, all this is so wonderful, all that you have described about the Atman, that a person who has realized the Atman does not get perturbed, is not bothered even if his body falls. All these things, the body is temporary, the Atman is not cut, cannot be burnt." All these ideas that Sri Krishna tells him. And he says, "Is this practical? Is there somebody who has achieved something like this in the life? Or is it just fantasy and imagination that you're telling me?" He says, "What are the qualities of a person who has realized the self? Sthita pragnasya ka bhasha. How does he talk? How does he behave? How does he live? Is there something that is demonstrable?" Arjuna asks a very relevant question. "Do you think this is possible to achieve?" Krishna says, "Yes." And he gives a beautiful description of the way in which a man of equanimity, a man of composed mind behaves, talks. What are the words he uses? You see, Arjuna asks something wonderful. How does he behave? How does he talk? Because through every action, through every deed, his state of mind is reflected. Swami Vivekananda says in one place, he says, every fool can do some great deed, something wonderful, something remarkable at some point of time. But it is through the small things, through the day-to-day events, that you can understand the real character, the real depth of personality of an individual. Observe the minute details. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell his disciples, "Observe me day and night. Don't judge me just once. Look, try to test me as a money tester tests the coin, or a jeweler tests the ornament. When you take an ornament to pawn or to exchange, the person will rub the gold and see if it is real gold or if there is something added to it, isn't it?" So Sri Ramakrishna used to say, "Judge me, test me again and again." And most of his disciples did accept him only after testing. And Narendra was fearless. He used to test him again and again, till the last. Just before his passing away, till he passed away, Narendra went on testing him. And he says, Swami Vivekananda says, I tested him again and again, fought my way through, till I was convinced that, yes, this man was genuine. There are so many incidents how Narendra tested Sri Ramakrishna. Most of you know about this. How Yogen, Swami Yogananda, tested Sri Ramakrishna. So, unless you test Sri Ramakrishna, unless you try to understand Sri Ramakrishna, you cannot enjoy the greatness of Sri Ramakrishna. Then the question comes, why should we try to understand Sri Ramakrishna? How is it going to help me? How do I benefit by understanding Sri Ramakrishna? Again, let me refer to another verse from the Bhagavad Gita in the 3rd chapter. Sri Krishna says, by human nature, in human nature, we always try to emulate or follow those ideals or persons who appeal to us. It's a natural trait. Most of the children try to be what their father was. If the father was a doctor, the children, the son or the daughter think, oh, that's the best profession. I would also like to be a doctor or an engineer or a pilot or whatever it is, isn't it? Our imaginations are always guided by those people whom we admire. Yadyadacharati shreshtaha tatadevetaro janaha. Whatever the best people in society do, we try to follow, we try to emulate, we try to be like them. They become our role models. Many in India, as you all know, want to be film stars because they admire film stars. Isn't it? So, this is how. It's a natural psychological process, trying to admire and emulate. So, when you understand Sri Ramakrishna, when you are able to grasp the immensity of his personality, the depth of his personality, there will be an unconscious change within yourself. An unconscious process starts within to become somebody like Sri Ramakrishna. What you adore, you try to become. Sri Ramakrishna himself used to say, I have made the mold this time, the skeleton, the cast. So you have to put yourself in that cast and shape yourself in this mold to be another Sri Ramakrishna, to become like him. So he has given us the framework. So we have to adjust ourselves, remove all angularities, those things which prevent us from entering that mold, cut off those things which are not necessary and make ourselves fit into it. See, to give you an example, there's a beautiful illustration which one very senior Swami used to give. If you go to some river beds, you will find smooth, beautiful, round stones which have come down from the mountains, flowing along with the current of the river. And sometimes they are so beautiful that you take them and then probably use them. In the earlier days, we used to use them to scrub the body. Nowadays, you have different things made of plastic and other things. So, these beautiful stones, we used to come and put them in the house as decorative pieces or in the bathrooms. So, the Swami used to say, do you know how these stones are formed? They were not smooth or round initially. They were stone pieces in the mountains. But somehow they got dislodged. because of the rain or the flow of water, fell into the river and started rubbing against different stones and others. As they flowed down the river, they were pushed by the water. The water shaped them into these round stones. All their angularities, all the sharpness was removed in the process. And finally, by the time they come to the plains, they have become beautiful, rounded stones. So like that, our personality has become beautiful, smooth and round, beautiful to see, beautiful to use, if all those angularities and sharpness and our anger, hatred, jealousy, all these things which make our personalities negative can be removed. By life's experiences, Swami Vivekananda used to say that life is a constant process through which we unfold the potential within. We manifest the potential that is within us through this process called life. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, as long as I live, so long do I learn. Javat bachi, tavat shikhi. There is no end to learning. So, Sri Ramakrishna's personality is something immense. Holy Mother used to say, Thakur আমাকে বলেছিলেন, দেখ এরপর ঘরে ঘরে আমার পুজো হবে. Sri Ramakrishna used to tell Holy Mother, you will see in time that this, he would refer to himself as this, he would not use the I noun, he would say this. So he would say to Holy Mother, this you will see will be worshipped in every home in the future. একই সবাই মানবে, তুমি কোনো চিন্তা করো না. Don't worry, don't bother about what will happen, who will take care that I'm wasting my life. Oh, Holy Mother maybe would have expressed something like that, though she knew Sri Ramakrishna so well. Maybe somewhere, some fear, something she would have expressed or something, oh, what happened, what will happen, or something like that. And Sri Ramakrishna assures her, says, no, in future you will see that this only will be accepted by all. Holy Mother says, Mairi bolchi, bapanto dibbo. I am putting emphasis on this. Holy Mother says, this is really true. I vow by it. So, there is another beautiful incident in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. One day, Sri Ramakrishna was in Samadhi in his room, sleeping on his bed, but in Samadhi. And Rakhal and some of the other disciples were there in the room, sitting there and talking among themselves. It was noon time, and Sharda Devi with Lokhi, that niece of Sri Ramakrishna, came to the room with the food to give lunch to Sri Ramakrishna. And as soon as Holy Mother and this Lokhi Didi came, Rakhal and the other boys left the room to give space to them so that they can serve Sri Ramakrishna. So they came and saw Sri Ramakrishna was lying on the bed, absolutely dead to the world in Samadhi. And then they tried to wake him up, they tried to call him and said, oh, your food is ready, please come and eat and all that. And he was not responding. He was completely unaware of what was happening around him. And after calling for some time, these two ladies, they started getting worried. Oh, what has happened to Sri Ramakrishna? Why is he not responding? They started touching him and trying to call him. Holy Mother started pressing his legs and trying to wake him up. There was no response. And after some minutes of doing this, they really got worried and started crying. And the crying and their emotions were so much, it was quite loud, and Rakhal and the others rushed in to see what happened. Why were they crying? Why were they shouting like that? And then they came, and then Rakhal, Sri Ramakrishna had instructed him or whatever. He came and then started repeating the name of the mother in his ear. And Sri Ramakrishna's mind came back. After some time, he slowly opened his eyes and said, "Oh, why is there so much commotion? Why are you people creating so much confusion? I was in Samadhi. I was in a blissful place, in a place which was far, far away. There were so many white people, people of fair skin, who were serving me with great devotion. Their hearts were so pure." You see, Sri Ramakrishna was in a foreign land. And he says, there was so much of devotion, they had so much respect for me. So Sri Ramakrishna never restricted himself to the place where he was born, where he lived, or to the ideas or to the religion in which he was born. His mind was so expansive. He was so inclusive. That is why he did not stop when he realized the divine in one path. He went on experimenting. He wanted to know or taste God through all the paths that people have been following over millions of years. He did not hold himself to any one particular path. You can never define Sri Ramakrishna. He is only this and not this. In fact, Swami Vivekananda, when he came back from the West, one day when he was sitting in Belur Math and talking to Girish Chandra Ghosh and the others, in Belur Math, Girish suddenly came up with this idea and told Swami Vivekananda, "Oh, you have traveled so much in the West, you have such rich experience, and you are one of the best disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. You understand Sri Ramakrishna so well. Nobody can understand Sri Ramakrishna better than you have understood him. So why don't you write a life of Sri Ramakrishna? Please write a life of Sri Ramakrishna. Try to explain the significance of the life of Sri Ramakrishna." Swami Vivekananda said, "Oh, no, that's impossible. You can ask me to crush the mountains, bring mountains, I can do it, but to write the life of Ramakrishna, no. That's an impossible task for me. His life is so immense, so vast, so great. I am always afraid I will be limiting him by trying to express myself in this way. I don't want to limit him." So, a person like Swami Vivekananda was afraid of expressing, writing about Sri Ramakrishna. In fact, if you see his complete verse or the lectures that he delivered in the West, there are hardly anywhere where he mentions the life of Sri Ramakrishna apart from 2 lectures. He was afraid to speak about Sri Ramakrishna. He gave the broad principles that shaped Sri Ramakrishna or that Sri Ramakrishna represented, what Sri Ramakrishna realized in his life. He kept the personality of Sri Ramakrishna in the shadows as much as possible. He would say, let people understand the principles. Then they'll start trying to find out if there is somebody who has realized these principles in his life and come to Sri Ramakrishna. That was the idea with which Swami Vivekananda gave this freedom to search, to understand Sri Ramakrishna. He has composed a beautiful hymn on Sri Ramakrishna, Achandala Apratihatarayo, which we all sing. So there he expresses his ideas about Sri Ramakrishna. He says, the infinite assumed a human form out of grace in order to uplift humanity. So one very senior Swami, who is no more now, he wrote an article in Prabuddha Bharata, and he mentions God descends so that man can ascend. God comes down to help humanity raise itself by several steps. There is a leap in the thinking and understanding of the human being when an incarnation comes or when a prophet comes. Swami Vivekananda says the ideas of Sri Ramakrishna, the message of Sri Ramakrishna will work wonders, will influence the thinking, the thoughts of this world for 1,500 years. Not a small phase. He says it's going to have a lasting impact on the world. There's another beautiful song which describes the incarnation, written by Holy Mother's disciple, Premeshanandaji, in Bengali, Oru Poshayore Leela Lahori. So he says, the infinite assumed a human form just as a wave appears in the ocean, vast infinite ocean of Satchidananda. So Swami Vivekananda also refers to this. He says an incarnation is like a wave, a huge wave which comes once in 500 years or once in 1,000 years, bringing a lot of change, bringing an upsurge in the human level. So, now we come to the question, who was Sri Ramakrishna? If you see the life of Sri Ramakrishna as it is written by Swami Sharadananji in The Great Master, or as Swami Chetananji has translated as the divine play of Sri Ramakrishna, try to read the chapters about the birth of Sri Ramakrishna, the incidents that happened before the birth of Sri Ramakrishna. Khudiram, the father of Sri Ramakrishna, went to Gaya to do the last rites of his forefathers, to give the pinda, as it is called, obsequies, no? What is the word in English? Obsequies, to the forefathers. And there he had a blessed vision of Gaya, Vishnu, the deity who is worshipped there, saying that he will be born in his family as a child. And Khudiram, the simple, Khudiram was very happy initially. He was so happy, he was full of joy first that the Lord is going to be born in his family. And then after some time, he started getting doubts. He started getting fears. Oh, what if some mistake happens? What if I'm not able to take care of the child? What if I'm not able to serve the Lord properly? And he says, no, I'm really poor. I'm very poor. I won't be able to afford to provide all the things that will be needed if you happen to be born in my family. Then Vishnu assures him, no, don't be worried. I'll be happy with whatever you give. I want to be born in your family. So, that is the incident that we read as recorded by Swami Sharadananji, and Sri Ramakrishna himself says this in the Gospel in quite a few places, that his father had this vision. And then here Chandramani in Kamarpukur has the vision of Shiva entering into her as light. And then Sri Ramakrishna tells that he will not go to Gaya or Puri, Jagannath, that his body would merge because he has come from that place. Holy Mother had the vision of Sri Ramakrishna in Puri, Jagannath. When she went, she saw Sri Ramakrishna seated on the altar. And she immediately realized that Sri Ramakrishna was himself Lord Jagannatha. Swami Turiyananji had a vision of Sri Ramakrishna in Puri coming down the steps, and he also immediately felt that it was Sri Ramakrishna who was Lord Jagannatha himself. So you have all these wonderful incidents which show who Sri Ramakrishna was. How many people saw their chosen deity in Sri Ramakrishna? Somebody, Mathurnath, saw Kali and Shiva again and again. He rubbed his eyes and was trying to see whether he is having some hallucination. In Dakshineshwar, in that Kuthibadi, Sri Ramakrishna was walking, and this Mathur had some doubts about the divinity of Sri Ramakrishna, about his true understanding of Sri Ramakrishna. And as he saw Sri Ramakrishna walking up and down, he sees Kali one way, and in the other way he sees Shiva. He rubbed his eyes, tried to see again and again, and then finally came and prostrated at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna and said, "What is this I'm seeing in you?" Sri Ramakrishna said, "Oh, keep it within yourself. Don't tell it to others." Sri Ramakrishna did not like publicity, advertising. He never told about himself to others. In fact, he discouraged people. Keshav Chandra Sen wanted to write about Sri Ramakrishna in the papers, try to make him more popular. Sri Ramakrishna said, "No, the time has not come. The mother will take care of it. You don't have to bother about it." You see, anybody else would have jumped at this opportunity. "Oh, yes, put me in the media, in Facebook, Instagram and all that. Make me more popular." Sri Ramakrishna abhorred popularity. There's a beautiful incident. He came to Kamarpukur after many years from Dakshineshwar, and somebody had presented him with a new piece of cloth and all that. And one day, wearing that cloth and having beetle, that pan in his mouth, he had munched, and his whole mouth and lips were red. And then he was looking beautiful. He was young at that time. And then he was about to come out. There were many people waiting to see him. And seeing the crowd, just before stepping out, he looked at the crowd and asked Hriday, "Oh, Hriday, why are there so many people here? Whom do they want to see? Why are they here?" And Hriday said, "Oh, Mama, you look so beautiful in this new cloth and that red lips and all that. They've come to see you, your beautiful form." Shri said, "Che, they want to see this external beauty." And he simply closed the door and went in. He never came out of the room that day. He just abhorred popularity or people admiring him only as a human being. There is a beautiful incident that we read connected to Swami Vivekananda. A Christian professor in the college where he studied, who knew Narendra, who had great hopes about Narendra, met this Narendra after he started coming to Sri Ramakrishna and asked him, "Oh, Naren, you are such a bright, intelligent boy, and you finally went and then surrendered to that mad man in the temple? Why? What happened to you?" And Narendra said, "Yes, sir. I also had such feelings that he is a mad man, but I could not help myself. What do I do? I went to him, and one day he showed Sri Rama in his own personality, and the next moment it was Krishna, and finally Both Rama and Krishna merged into him and he was Ramakrishna. I've seen this with my open eyes. So how can I refuse this? So Swami Vivekananda or Narendra tells his English professor, I also had doubts, but he convinced me that he is not the human being that we think he is. Swami Vivekananda carried these doubts, of course, and just before Sri Ramakrishna's passing away, when Sri Ramakrishna was suffering from cancer, that intense pain and not able to talk or eat, when his body was becoming weak and weak, Narendra suddenly had this doubt in his mind. He did not express it, but he had this doubt in his mind. If amidst this pain, amidst this suffering, amidst all these troubles, Sri Ramakrishna can tell that he is an incarnation, not just this body, not just this human being, then I will accept. And immediately Sri Ramakrishna, as if he had asked the question verbally, comes out with the answer with a normal voice, which was something impossible. He could not speak, he could not drink or eat anything. And he comes out with a bold, normal voice saying, he who was Rama, he who was Krishna is now born in this form as Ramakrishna. And Swami Vivekananda says, a few days before his passing away, Sri Ramakrishna infused that Kali into me. That Kali who was in him, she entered me. He transferred that Kali into me. And she is sitting on my shoulders and making me do all these things. She is using me as an instrument. You see, Swami Vivekananda sees Kali in Sri Ramakrishna. And just before he passed away, Swami Vivekananda passed away, a few days before his passing away, he tells another direct disciple, Swami Sharadananda. Sharadanandaji had come to see Swami Vivekananda, and Swami Vivekananda tells him, oh, Sharat, I'm not seeing that little girl anymore. Sharat Maharaj asks, who is that little girl? Whom is it that you're missing? And Vivekananda says, why? That Kali, Sri Ramakrishna put her into me, and I'm not seeing her now. I think it is time for me to leave. Just a few days before his passing away, Swami Vivekananda says. And if you read the life of Sri Ramakrishna, when Sri Ramakrishna passed away in Kashipur, Holy Mother Sharda Devi was also staying there in the same building. And the news came to Holy Mother that Sri Ramakrishna had passed away. And the first outburst that you see from Holy Mother, she says, oh Mother, you have deserted me, you have left me. Oh Ma Kali, tumi amake chhede dile. So, in fact, Holy Mother also saw Kali in Sri Ramakrishna. And you have the beautiful incident that happened when Sri Ramakrishna became the Kalpataru in Kashipur on 1st January. Sri Ramakrishna was walking down, and the devotees were sitting there and talking among themselves in the garden house, in the garden. And suddenly Sri Ramakrishna looked at Girish and asked, oh Girish, you have been proclaiming that about me, about this. What is it that you see in this, that you tell people? So Girish was a wonderful devotee, absolute faith, as Sri Ramakrishna used to say, Sholohana Bhakti, full of faith. And he prostrated before Sri Ramakrishna, knelt down, and with great devotion, with intense feeling, which was so true. He said, oh, what do I speak about that supreme power which even Valmiki and Vyasa could not describe completely in their Ramayana and Mahabharata. Sri Ramakrishna was so moved and touched by this, and then blessed all those people there by saying, may you be awakened, may the consciousness within you be enlightened, awakened. Chaitanya Hok. So, Sri Ramakrishna is beyond description. We try to understand Sri Ramakrishna according to our mind. We try to put him into a frame, but he always goes beyond the frame. He's always a little more or much more than the frame, isn't it? The frame, he is always out of bounds. But there is joy in trying to understand Sri Ramakrishna, in trying to know Sri Ramakrishna more and more. In trying to know Sri Ramakrishna more and more, we understand ourselves better. We become better individuals. I hope. Am I beyond the time? Okay, it's just time. So thank you. We can keep the questions for the next session. This topic is going to continue again. So if you have any questions, please keep it. We can take it up later on. Thank you for a patient hearing. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I thought of telling you one thing before starting, which I forgot. Many people in Brazil and here have asked me, oh, Swami, what is the difference between your two names? And in fact, one devotee said, oh, Ramakrishna Mission does not make such mistakes. Why is it that they have repeated the name? I said, no, they have not repeated the name. There is a subtle difference between the two. His name is Atmajnananda, and I am Atmajnananda. One less than the Swami. I said, what does that mean? What is the meaning? So I said, you see, in Sanskrit, these are two different words, Atmajnana and Atmagna. And I said, you don't have to go into the complexities of all this, language and all that. He is a senior monk whom I respect, and he has been practicing Vedanta for so many years. Neti, 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 not this, I am not the body, I am not the mind. So he has one extra na because of the practice.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very nice. Anyhow, it's a compliment to me if I'm ever confused with him. So I'm happy for that. Anyhow, we have lunch break now, 12 to 1, and then at 1 o'clock we'll meet back here for devotional songs, and you'll hear both of the Swami sing along with devotees as well. So everyone, please come to the basement now, and we'll try to come back here in 1 hour.